started on meal 3, our Puttanesca chicken and shrimp sheet pan dinner. Whenever you're doing sheet pan dinners, often you need to kind of put the ingredients on the sheet pan at different intervals depending upon the baking time. So because we're doing chicken that is raw, and the rest of the items will take a little bit less time to cook, plus we want to make sure that our chicken gets finished. We're going to start with the chicken first, and we're going to get that on the sheet pan. We're going to get that in the oven while we get some of the other ingredients ready to go. This is the leftover chicken from meal 1 when we made the chicken sandwiches. We cut off kind of the tail ends or some of the thicker pieces to make the chicken for this meal. I've just got the chicken marinating here with some olive oil, salt and pepper, and some Italian seasoning. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out on the sheet pan, and we'll get that in the oven. And I did lightly spray the sheet pan too. So I'm going to get that chicken in, and I'm going to start working on the bread, the tomatoes, and the zucchini ready to go for the next step. So I've just got my red onion here. I'm going to julienne that. I'm going to cut up my garlic cloves. I'm going to do a real chunky cut on that because I want big pieces of garlic in this. I'm going to put some zucchini in there. I'm thinking one's going to do, but I do have a second one just in case I want to add a little bit more. I've got some cherry tomatoes. I'm going to reserve a little bit of the cherry tomatoes just to put on the salad. I'm going to go ahead and make the a little light salad, and like I mentioned, at the end of this bin, you're going to have a bonus where I'm going to make a little bit of Caesar dressing with the leftover anchovy and caper that you can serve on the side with this dinner with just a little bit of a romaine lettuce with the peppers left over from meal 2 and some of the cherry tomatoes left over from here. A nice sourdough bread to make some croutons with. I'm going to put some anchovies in this, some capers, and some olives. All of these things are completely optional. You could also just do one of the 3, 2 of the 3, however you want to do that. I actually had capers and I had a tin of anchovies, so all I had to do was pick up some olives. I just bought an olive medley. You can do Kalamata olives, Niçoise olives, green olive. Lastly, I've got our shrimp here. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to marinate this with the olive oil, salt, pepper, just a little bit of Italian seasoning. I'm also going to drizzle the whole thing with some red wine vinegar, and I think that's it. So I gave our chicken about a 5-minute head start while I was cutting up some of the vegetables. I dumped off some of the excess water that kind of steamed out of this chicken. Sometimes when you do buy the cheaper chicken, it does have a lot of water in it. So I've got the onions here. I'm going to spread those out. Got the zucchini. I cut the zucchini on a bias, nice thick cuts. And then I've got the chunky pieces of the garlic. We're going to get this all baking. We'll drizzle this with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, and a little shake of the Italian seasoning. Just pop that back in the oven while I get the bread ready to go and the shrimp. Now on the bread, I was going to do the ends of it. I'm going to leave the nice center pieces to use for some sandwiches or something throughout the week. Now we got our anchovies, our capers, and our shrimp here. We're just going to drizzle that around. We're going to drizzle again with just a little bit of olive oil and some red wine vinegar, and this is ready to go. We're going to just make sure that your shrimp get cooked. By the time your shrimp is cooked, your chicken should be definitely done. Give us probably 15 minutes and it's ready to go. So there is our chicken and shrimp sheet pan puttanesca. I'm going to finish it off with some shaved Parmesan and some cilantro. Now cilantro, not really typically what you would put on this. You would probably put some basil, some fresh oregano, or Italian parsley. We're just going to do the cilantro because we have it from the chili. And that way we get a little bit of a nice bright color and flavor that we've added to this at the end. I've also got some shaved Parmesan we're going to put on this. Now, I know these sheet pan dinners are supposed to be one pan dinners, but I guess having been a chef for so long, that just seems like it needs a little extra. So I did put out a little salad just because we had some romaine left over. So I've got the red and yellow peppers left over, some of the cherry tomatoes there with the romaine. Like I said, hang tight after the end of the bin, and I'll show you how to make some Caesar dressing with some of the same ingredients we have left over from this sheet pan dinner. You could also just serve it with some extra bread on the side, or just serve it as is, because this has your bread, vegetables, everything you need right in here. This actually looks quite delicious, so I am anxious to try this. Chicken and shrimp Puttanesca sheet pan dinner. Okay, so there is bin 23. So we started it off with meal 1. That was our chicken sandwiches with french fries, topped with the avocado, scallion, mayonnaise. Just serve with a little bit of lettuce and tomato, because we had that romaine lettuce that we bought that we were going to use on the Frito pie, the chicken sandwiches, and for the Caesar salad. Next, meal 2. We made a big pot of chili. Now the chili, we served half of it. Actually, we served a third of it for meal 2, a third of it for meal 4, and we still have a third of it. So you have some lunches. You can even freeze it. But know that you're going to make a big pot of chili, so you've got at least 2 meals covered, if not a lunch or even another meal. But meal 2, we use a third of that chili to make chili with cornbread drop biscuits. We baked the cornbread batter into the chili, topped it with a little bit of cilantro and scallions. I put some raw vegetables out there on the side, just because I always like to have a little bit of raw vegetables, especially when you're having a hot soup. Also, the batter made enough that I was able to grab a muffin tin and some cupcake liners and bake off some extra pieces of cornbread. You can use that as you're eating this, or even with the remainder of the chili. So then we moved on to meal 3. That was our chicken and shrimp Puttanesca sheet pan dinner. It's got olives, it's got anchovy, capers, as well as chicken and shrimp, the sourdough bread, some Parmesan cheese. We use cilantro just because we have that going on with the rest of the bin. You could use a different herb if you would like, but I threw in some zucchini as well as the tomatoes, so you got lots of vegetables in there, some onions, the sourdough bread, chicken and shrimp, all kinds of good stuff in there. Chicken and shrimp Puttanesca sheet pan dinner. Also, I got that salad of romaine lettuce. I also topped it with some of the leftover pepper strips. I saved some from when we made the chili. Some of the cherry tomatoes that I reserved from the sheet pan dinner. So you've got that. Stay tuned at the end of the bin, and I'll show you how to make a Caesar dressing with some of the leftovers from this meal. Meal 4, we served some more of the chili. Like I said, another third of the chili. You still got chili left over to make a Frito chili pie. The Frito chili pie, corn chips topped with chili and cheese, and then I dressed it up with a nice salad of shredded romaine lettuce, sour cream, tomatoes, avocado. You could do jalapenos. I had sour cream in the refrigerator already, so I threw out some sour cream. I dressed that up just to make it look fantastic. So there you have bin 23, all kinds of fantastic food. Remember, Haute Moms Dinner Club, tons of different variety in the bins, variety throughout each different bin. Under $50 worth of groceries, and you get 4 fabulous dinners. HauteMomsDinnerClub.com is the website. Catch the YouTube videos on Haute Moms Dinner Club and enjoy family dinner time again. Thanks for joining me, Haute Moms Dinner Club. Now let's make that quick, easy Caesar dressing. Most of the stuff you're going to have left over from this bin. You've got some anchovies left over. You should have some capers left over. You'll have garlic cloves as well. You should have some Parmesan cheese left over. And then, of course, your basic pantry, salt and pepper, red wine vinegar, olive oil, canola oil. You'll need some Dijon mustard. And so mainly the only thing you're probably going to need to pick up is a lemon on top of your pantry items, just making sure that you have all those. I'm going to put fresh squeezed lemon in this as well as the red wine vinegar for the acidity. I'm going to use the food processor, and I'm going to start by just grinding up these three things. I probably have to add some of the egg and some of the mustard in there just to kind of give it enough body to really start working. And then I'm going to drizzle in the acid next, and then follow it up with the oil at the end. I'm going to add the cheese in at the very end. Now you have a Parmesan wedge that we have left over from the Puttanesca. You could use this, grind that up yourself, or zest it up on a zester yourself, or even shave it. I'm going to use a ground Parmesan in mine, and then when I actually prepare our Caesar salads, I'm going to grate the fresh Parmesan cheese into the Caesar salad, and on top of it, kind of like what we did with the Puttanesca, where we put the shaved Parmesan on top. So you can use either or for your cheese on that, but we're going to add that in at the end. I'm going to puree mine in the food processor. I want all this ground up really, really, really small. You can hand chop yours if you want. You could even hand chop and then add it in at the end if you don't want to ground up real small. But I'm going to have ours ground up very, very small on this. And I did 3 egg yolks on this. All your measurements will be on the website. But I've got 6 anchovies, 2 cloves of garlic, 3 tablespoons of capers plus juice. And I'm probably going to put a couple tablespoons of the fresh squeezed lemon, a couple tablespoons of the red wine vinegar, and then about a quarter cup each of the oils. You can always add a little more oil at the end, or even some water if it gets too thick. So you'll need to add a little bit more oil in if it's too thin for you, and then drizzle in a little water if it's too thick for you. I'm just going to start working all of this in the food processor. I think I'm going to add a little bit more oil in there just to tighten it up a pinch more before I add in the Parmesan cheese. Then I'll add in the Parmesan cheese and salt and pepper to taste. So here is the quick, easy Caesar salad dressing. So you have this option to use some of those ingredients that we had left over from bin 23. We're actually going to have a grilled chicken Caesar salad night to add a 5th meal to this bin using this dressing. See, it has a nice consistency on it too. So you can make yours thicker or thinner depending on your preference. So remember, when you're emulsifying a salad dressing, you want to put those egg yolks in with possibly a little bit of Dijon mustard in the beginning with your acid. And then you want to drizzle in the oil at the end. I often like to cut my olive oil with the canola oil because I think the canola oil will emulsify a little bit better. So I like to do a 50-50 mix on the Caesar because I do want that olive oil flavor and taste in there, but I do want the canola oil in there to help emulsify it better. But you do have to make sure you drizzle the oil in very slowly. All right, homemade Caesar dressing. Thanks for watching, Ben 23.